Hello and welcome to Friday's Granada Reports.
Good evening, thanks for joining us. Here's what's coming up on the programme tonight.
The father of three accused of ramming his car into Liverpool fans celebrating the Premier League title. Paul Doyle is told he could be put on trial before the end of the year.
A police investigation's underway after reports that a 14-year-old boy's been stabbed to death on the Isle of Man.
Unfit and unsafe as residents are told to leave two crumbling tower blocks in Merseyside. They're asking, how was this allowed to happen?
Bad. You know, I didn't want to move out of here, but now I've got to.
Every day it's getting closer, it's going faster than a roller coaster.
The chairman of Oldham Athletic, who hopes he'll be singing when they're winning on the big stage at Wembley.
In perfect harmony, the Wirral sub-postmaster behind the choir on the verge of history on Britain's Got Talent.
And in spite of a very wet 36 hours for some parts of the region, the Environment Agency has declared a drought status for the northwest of England. No restrictions as yet for the Isle of Man, but will the weather be playing ball for the start of the TT tomorrow? All the details coming up.
Well, first tonight, and a man accused of deliberately ramming his car into crowds of Liverpool fans at the club's celebration parade has been told he'll be put on trial.
Father of three, Paul Doyle, is accused of 7 offences after the incident on Water Street in the city centre on Monday. While Liverpool's players and supporters were celebrating winning the Premier League, 79 people were injured.
He's appeared before magistrates and the Crown Court in Liverpool today. Our correspondent, Victoria Grimes, is in the city. And Vicky, what more can you tell us?
Well, Gamal, Paul Doyle appeared here at Liverpool Magistrates Court. He arrived here early this morning and was driven along the Strand just metres from where the incident on Water Street took place on Monday evening. Now, he first appeared in the dock in the Magistrates Court at around 10:30 this morning. Wearing a black suit and a grey tie, he appeared emotional as he spoke to confirm his name, date of birth and his address in Liverpool. Now, this was in front of a courtroom which, as you can imagine, was packed full of journalists and reporters. The press bench was completely full, as was the public gallery. Now, his head was lowered as the charges were read out. He's accused of 2 counts of wounding with intent, 2 counts of causing grievous bodily harm with intent, 2 counts of attempted grievous bodily harm with intent and 1 count of dangerous driving. Now, he made no pleas as those charges were read out, and all of those charges, except the dangerous driving one, are too serious to be dealt with in the magistrates, so they were sent to Crown Court, which is in the same building here, and he appeared in the dock once again this afternoon. Now, the charges relate to 6 people. 2 of them, we understand, are children aged 11 and 17, and none of those people can be identified for legal reasons.
So, Vicky, what happened at the Crown Court?
Well, 53-year-old Doyle appeared before the Recorder of Liverpool, Andrew Mineri, who told him that he would come back to court on the 14th of August for a plea hearing, which will, of course, be an opportunity for him to enter a plea. And a provisional trial date has been set for November this year. Doyle was remanded into custody until his next appearance.
And Vicky, is there any update on the people who were injured in the incident on Monday?
Well, we had a press conference with police and the Crown Prosecution Service late yesterday afternoon. They told us then that 79 people were injured, and they range in age from 9 to 78. Now, the last that we've heard, and as far as we know it still stands, is that 7 people remain in hospital.
OK, Victoria in Liverpool, many thanks indeed.
Well, next tonight, and the Chief Minister of the Isle of Man says he's shocked and saddened after a teenage boy is understood to have died in a stabbing on the Isle of Man.
Yes, officers were called to the close Dreen area of Ramsey yesterday afternoon. 1 person has been arrested.
Our reporter from the Isle of Man, Joshua Stokes, sent this update.
Well, this is a case that has shaken the whole community here in the Isle of Man. We're now 24 hours on from when police first attended the scene here in Ramsey. Officers arrived in the area of Close Dreen at 3:38 yesterday afternoon. They say despite immediate medical intervention, a local to the island tragically lost their life. Another individual was arrested soon afterwards and a murder investigation has now been launched. Now, incidents like this are extremely rare for the Isle of Man. This has had a profound effect on residents who live here, but also a wider effect across the community here on the island. The Chief Minister, Alfred Cannon, released a statement last night saying he was shocked and saddened by what's happened, adding that his thoughts and deepest condolences are with the family and friends of the victim. But he also urged people not to speculate or share any distressing material online and instead talk directly to police. Officers are asking people with any information to get in touch with them because it could prove crucial to their investigations. They're also encouraging people to upload any photos or videos to a dedicated online portal that's been set up by the constabulary. Now, we're yet to receive any more details on the individuals who were involved in this incident, but police say that they do believe this was an isolated case. And tonight, a cordon remains in place as people continue to wonder how something like this could happen in such a tight-knit community like the one here in the Isle of Man.
Joshua Stokes reporting there.
Well, in other news today, and a baby girl's suffered life-changing injuries to her face after being attacked by a dog in Tameside. A 21-year-old woman and 53-year-old man were also hurt in the incident inside a property in Denton last night.
Meanwhile, in Kirby, a 7-year-old girl has had to have emergency surgery after being bitten by a dog as she played outside on Dewliss Green. A woman who tried to intervene was also injured. 2 men have been arrested.
Well, next tonight, a worrying time for hundreds of people in Knowsley who were being made homeless after 2 tower blocks were declared unsafe.
Knowsley Council's told the residents that they'll have to permanently leave their flats in Kirby within weeks after the high buildings were condemned as unsafe by the fire service.
The flats, Beach Rise and Willow Rise, don't have working lifts but do have mould, and some have described the situation as catastrophic. But for others, it means leaving their homes and neighbours of many years with no idea where they'll go.
Well, Emma Sweeney's been to meet one of those being forced to move out and sent us this report.
Well, we have spent the day talking to residents here, and one thing's for sure, these issues didn't just happen overnight. There's lots of mould on the walls, the lifts don't work in both of the buildings, and there are leaks as well. It is so bad here that both the council and Merseyside Fire and Rescue Service have condemned this building. The flats here are a mixture of leaseholds and rents, but they are all managed by a company known as Parklands in Kirby. It's a board elected by leaseholders to contract a management company to take care of things like health and safety issues and maintenance of the buildings. Now, the last company to take on that role 2 years ago was Dempster. They say that they tried to make improvements, but they say that they inherited a development that had suffered from years of neglect. Now, up until a couple of weeks back, Dempster were funding 24-hour health and safety patrols at a cost of more than £3,700 per day, but they stopped their contract. The council then took over funding of that, but that isn't sustainable, and because of that, the Fire and Rescue Service say, well, it just isn't safe for anybody to live here anymore, and they say that Dempster didn't carry out essential repairs. And of course, caught in the middle of all of this are those who live here, people like Chris. Chris, you've lived here for 15 years.
Yes, that's right, Emma, yeah.
You must be devastated.
I am devastated at the thought of having to move out of a lovely flat where I am.
It is lovely, your flat's lovely, but there are issues, as we say, in the corridors and outside of the flat. You must agree that it's not fit for purpose.
It's not fit for purpose in the current state it's in, and someone who, you know, needs to take responsibility and be held accountable for it getting to this state.
You have just had chemotherapy,
yes,
which means that you will be prioritised for rehousing, but have you had any kind of assurances of when that might be?
I had a meeting with the council this morning and they have put me on a property pool plus list, which is a list of councils within the area, but they've They can't give me a deadline of when that'll happen.
So you could, in theory, be homeless?
Yes, yes.
Are you worried?
I am. You know, the thought of being homeless and, you know, the thought of, you know, somebody else's catastrophic negligence has caused this to happen, and it should never have happened.
Well, listen, we wish you all the best and hope that you do get rehomed soon. The council says that it is working with residents to support them, and it says that some residents may end up going into emergency rehousing.
Emma Sweeney reporting there.
Yeah, such a worrying time for everyone involved. I hope it's resolved soon. Still to come on tonight's programme.
We get to come out on days like this and work together and be outside in nature.
Journey, the story of a Chester dad's decision to live with his family in the wilderness.
And in the weather, drought status declared for the northwest of England. We're on course for it to be the second driest spring in England on record. No restrictions yet for the Isle of Man. However, will the weather be playing nicely for the start of the TT races tomorrow? All the details coming up.
Time now for a look at the national news with more on our top story tonight. Here's Lucrezia.
Coming up on the ITV Evening News, the latest from Liverpool, as the suspect charged over Monday's parade crash appears in court. Why more pet owners say they are struggling to hold their vet to account, and after campaigning for justice, the Post Office Choir now singing for Britain's Got Talent glory in the final. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Well, next to that new film that really takes you on an emotional journey following a family who decided to live a very different life to most of us.
Yeah, Nick Payne from Chester and his wife Maria decided to go and live on a remote farm with their 4 children in Maria's homeland of Norway.
Yeah, it's a heartwarming story, but it's also a really sad one, as Maria died in 2019 after being diagnosed with cancer.
Faced with the choice of coming home to Chester, Nick decided to stay in Norway.
Well, the film is called A New Kind of Wilderness. Our entertainment correspondent Caroline Whitmore went to speak to Nick about it.
Why is it that we live differently and we don't go to school and stuff than other kids?
Well, Mummy and I made a choice quite a few years ago when you were quite little. We wanted to spend more time with you.
Talk to us about your story and this brand new film, A New Kind of Wilderness.
I grew up in Chester but moved to Norway about 15 years ago because I met my wife there. Bought a small farm and we decided to live a little bit differently by growing a lot of our own food and homeschooling our kids. Then tragically Maria got sick with cancer and died 6 years ago. Celia, who is the director of the film, contacted me and asked if I would like to do a film, and I agreed to it because I knew that Maria would have done that.
I've watched the film and it's so powerful in so many different ways. When the worst happened, did you ever doubt that you could carry on with this way of life on your own?
I was very determined to carry on. It was very, very difficult, and so yeah, every day it would be almost like you have to just take it a day at a time. I'd been homeschooling them anyway, so there was no real change after Maria died in terms of that. They didn't have to suddenly start going to school, which would have been terrible, I think, for them. Life was very simple. There was no rushing in the morning, for example. You know, there was none of that. Out the door with a piece of toast in the hand, and you know, it was just.
You're spying on my house. That's what happens in my house.
I know. Everybody. It's
the toast is in tin foil. You know, don't judge me too much.
We get to come out on days like this and work together and be outside in nature.
You were born in Chester. You now live in Norway. Do you miss Chester? Do you miss the Northwest?
In some ways I still think of it, I still talk about coming home because I do visit very often my dad and my brother.
Gratulerer med dagen, mamma. Hils fra Freya.
I know Maria died 6 years ago. They say time's a healer. I guess it's still as hard today, is it?
Grief stays with you. It becomes a part of you, I think, but it doesn't sort of define you. I was changed by meeting Maria, and I've been changed by losing her. Part of life, if we don't love, we won't grieve, but then what's life like if you don't love? So
It'll be a good adventure then.
There's
the one change that we could make.
Yeah, work less, people.
Note to self, work less. I think you're an inspiration, you and your family. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thanks for having us.
Well, now to a game which brings back memories of Oldham Athletic's golden era. 3 years after they were relegated from the Football League for the first time in their history, victory in this Sunday's National League playoff final would lift them back into League Two. And one club legend whose goals took them to Wembley in the 90s believes they can win under the arch, as David Chisnall reports.
A great day out then for Oldham Athletic.
29th of April 1990. Madonna's Vogue was #1 in the music charts. And Joe Royal led Oldham Athletic out at Wembley in the League Cup final against Brian Clough's Nottingham Forest.
The second division marbles from Lancashire, Oldham Athletic.
It was Oldham's last appearance in a final at the famous stadium until this weekend, when the club returns to play under the now arch rather than the Twin Towers in the National League playoff final.
This is the biggest thing to happen in Oldham for 35 years, and everybody is talking about it. Everywhere you go, going down the road, you think there's something really happening because everybody's pipping and waving at me. It's fantastic.
Andy Ritchie, top scorer.
Oldham legend Andy Ritchie lined up in that team 35 years ago and knows what it means to the club to be going back.
Biggest memory I have is of going down Wembley Way in the coach, and it just being a massive blue and white, and just crying. The guys on the coach were crying because of the enormity of it and the amount of support. Definitely don't leave anything on the pitch, and I'm sure they won't. The way they've played and the togetherness that they've had over these last two games especially has been brilliant.
Come on, Oldham! Well, Oldham will be a ghost town on Sunday with in excess of 20,000 fans heading south to be part of history.
It means everything. So the last time they were at Wembley, that was before I was even born. So it's a big deal. We've been going to the last, years, season ticket holders, and we finally got there. So it's all we can do it.
It's just everything. Not in my lifetime have we been. My dad talks about it, my granddad's spoken about it, and it's our time now.
3 years after relegation from the Football League, Oldham are now just one game away from returning to it. Mickey Mellon, they have a manager who knows all about winning playoff finals at Wembley, doing it twice before with Tranmere Rovers.
Huge game, we know that. It would be tremendous to be able to take the support down there to show that there's still a big support for Oldham out there. There's still a big, massive football club here that's craving success, and it's good to be a part of that.
After impressive wins against York and Halifax so far in the playoffs, Oldham know seeing off Southend will seal their promotion.
The goal at the start of the season was to get promoted, and if we don't get that, we failed on it. Yes, it's a great occasion. It'll be a great occasion for the fans and club, but in my opinion, it's only a day you remember if you win it.
Oldham were just minutes away from going out of existence when Frank Rothwell stepped in 3 years ago to save his local club and begin the turnaround in their fortunes.
Every day it's getting closer, it's going faster than a roller coaster. Love like yours will surely come my way. Hey, hey, hey. Every day a little bit closer. Every day a little bit closer, yeah.
On Sunday, you'll do it.
Yes, we're there.
It's destination Wembley for Oldham, who head south dreaming of their final destination this season being the Football League. David Chisnall, ITV News, Oldham.
Frank Rothwell loves a bit of Buddy Holly, and it would be Buddy brilliant if they won at the weekend, wouldn't it? I think
Very good. I mean, is there going to be anyone left in Oldham?
It's going to be great. If you want a restaurant reservation in Oldham, this is the Saturday or Sunday night rather to do it, because the whole town is going to be flooding down there. The motorway is going to be a sea of blue and white. It's going to be wonderful.
Yeah, and David Chisnall's going as well, isn't he? So if you see him, make sure you say hi.
Absolutely.
Good luck to Oldham. Now, if you've been following this year's Britain's Got Talent here on ITV, you'll know that it is the grand final of the show tomorrow night.
Yeah, but among the 10 acts performing for the prize of a place at this year's Royal Variety Performance is a very special choir. Here are voices made up of post office workers who were victims of the Horizon IT scandal.
It's a group that was originally set up by one of the postmasters who's from the Wirral, and James Webster has been to rehearsals for tomorrow night's big show.
We are a choir made up by people that were directly affected from the post office scandal.
From the moment they stepped on stage,
We wanted to put something together that gave us some joy.
the audience has been behind this very special choir.
That was a gorgeous performance, beautifully arranged.
The power in numbers and the unity. You should be so proud of yourselves. It was wonderful. Well done.
The singers come from all over the country.
People keep asking me if we get nerves, and we really don't, because we're just so happy to be together doing it and showing how strong we've become together as a group.
For people to understand what we've been through as well, people who don't even know us, we've had so much support, it's overwhelming really.
And like when you're finished and they all get up and applaud you, and it's like, I'm no longer just 5 foot, I'm 6 foot tall. Do you know what I mean? It's brilliant.
Viewers have been reminded how the post office workers have been subjected to the most widespread miscarriage of justice in UK history. Hard-working postmasters and postmistresses prosecuted for theft, fraud and false accounting when it was their IT software that was to blame.
It's Hear Our Voice!
They've been preparing for the live shows while some are still waiting for their money back.
The ordeal, the injustice you're being subjected to is unimaginable.
I really hope that this performance reminds people that there are still thousands of people out there who need justice.
Here we go. The winner of tonight's semi-final is...
And that semi-final win makes them one of the 10 finalists in tomorrow night's show. The choir's been put together by Mark Wildblood from the Wirral.
We needed something which was an escape, something that keeps it in the public eye. It also drives awareness of the charities that support the sub-postmasters and their kids, and also is to create that therapeutic positivity for the group. That's one of the most satisfying things, to see the happiness that's come out of this.
Just give me your hand and I'll hold.
Singing has brought these postal workers together in a new way and has once again made sure their ongoing campaign has captured the public's attention. James Webster, ITV News.
Yeah, and if you're wondering who Mark Wilder was, he was the gentleman wearing the jumper at the end.
Yeah, and just a reminder that the final of Britain's Got Talent is live on ITV1 tomorrow, starting at 7.
Here's Emma.
Why do I need a shower? I've been out in the rain.
The faster you go, the sooner you'll be out. You'll save water too.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Hello there, a very good Friday evening to you. I hope you're ready for the weekend. It's going to be rather changeable. There will be some showers around, but not a complete washout. The heat peaks tomorrow and then it turns fresher by Sunday. It has been a very wet 24 to 36 hours across some parts of the region, the Lake District and Cumbria, the Pennines and North Lancashire in particular, where we've had 70 millimetres of rainfall in some spots. But in spite of that, of course, we had that protracted dry spell before that, a very dry start to spring. So it looks like we are on course for it to be the second driest spring in England since 1893, with 75.2 millimetres of rainfall so far. That's 44% of the usual 97% of rainfall we'd expect at this point in the season. And so the Environment Agency has declared that the northwest of England is in drought status. However, that doesn't apply to the Isle of Man. No restrictions there, but residents are advised to use water wisely. Of course, it's not been great so far this week for TT qualifying and practice, and as we kick off the real races tomorrow, well, it's not looking great either. Rather a dodgy start across the Isle of Man, misty and damp, fresh winds initially, and then some sunshine developing, and then the wind increasing with about 2 or 3 hours of rain into the afternoon and force 6 winds, so about 25-30 miles an hour, and then the showers fade later. So not a fantastic day, I'm afraid, for the Isle of Man. And then band of heavy rain and some strong winds Monday night into Tuesday. Well, take a deep breath. Tonight, it's all quite calm, although still a little bit lively through the Irish Sea. Clear skies for most parts, but some cloud and rain and drizzle across the north of the patch. Into Saturday, the sun's up about 10 to 5 in the morning, and it's a very messy day. Some showers, some brighter spells, then more showers later. That's your forecast. Here's your pollen.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Making the most of summer. Kirby sponsors ITV pollen count.
On then to the pollen report now. Grass with a little bit of weed sneaking in, and hay fever sufferers beware. Counts are creeping up. They are a little bit all over the place, a bit like the weather over the weekend. That's it for now. Bye-bye.
That's all for now. Have a very lovely weekend. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.